And you're watching WGS-TV.
Hello everyone, welcome to another installment of WGS-TV right here on YouTube.com/WrestleGamer and ZFX-TV. I'm the WrestleGamer. Double B Billy Bojo, got a few people to introduce you to. First off, he is the studly man, Ashley. Ashley, how you doing tonight?
I'm thinking about it. No.
That is the correct answer. Anyway, the master of disaster is here. The leader of Team Gooch himself. Mick37 is here. Mick, how you doing?
Great.
We have from YouTube.com/Lance.
It's like Tony the Tiger, but less impactful.
From YouTube.com/Lance Moss TV, he is our resident music mogul. He is the incomparable Lance Moss. Lance, how you doing?
I shall call this Raw the night of 1,000 botches.
He is secretly raising his...
Botch 1. Armbar. No.
He's secretly raising a Duck Oksana army in the bowels of the Hudat Temple on Instagib. It's James from the Big Easy. James, how you doing?
The beard is here at Cat Fight! Cat Fight!
From the
Yes,
other
yes, equals yes.
From the other side of the tracks, in the hood on Instagib, he's the Bay Area MVP, known as Will.
Family double dare, baby!
I'll take a physical challenge. Anyway.
Well, by the way, apparently tonight's review is brought to you by the director David Lynch.
Oh, God. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be looking at Monday Night Raw for the week of August 5th, 2013. Now, one of the things that was talked about on last week's Monday Night Raw was Stephanie McMahon proposing a corporate makeover for Daniel Bryan, and of course that sparked a lot of people guessing, what are WWE going to do to try to change the image? And at one point, even Ashley was talking about it on last week's Raw review. It was the fact that they actually had a mini game where you can actually shave the hair off of Daniel Bryan on WWE.com. They were kind of teasing that a lot, weren't they, Ashley?
Yeah, except the stuff that was used wasn't Gillette. It was probably sold down the back. It was probably sold in the back of a car boot market or something, a flea market.
So was shit.
$5.
So they show a montage of Daniel Bryan, getting his hair put back and him trying on some new suits, and then Stephanie McMahon introduced the new corporate version of Daniel Bryan, which is basically nearly a knockoff of Damien Sandow. And that's what a lot of people said on Twitter, but apparently...
You're welcome.
Yeah, and apparently Vince McMahon still wasn't satisfied about that. And so he comes out and he says, you know what, if you really... one thing we need to make mention of, some people consider it taboo in WWE to say the word wrestling when Vince McMahon prefers sports entertainment. And Daniel Bryan mentioned the word wrestling quite a few times in that promo. And a lot of fans were saying, oh, I thought this was a PG show, and he's saying the W word. Anyway, Vince McMahon comes out, and he's not pleased. Daniel Bryan, he went pretty far, but he didn't go far enough. They wanted him to shave the beard, and they brought out a barbershop chair, and then Vince McMahon, for some reason, had Wade Barrett come out to kind of do the dirty deed, and Daniel Bryan said, look, I just want something done underneath my lip right here. And he was pointing to make Wade Barrett come in. He headbutts him and starts to fight him. Then he starts to take the clippers and starts shaving the beard off of Wade Barrett. and then Daniel Bryan saying, you know what, I am not going to change. I'm going to be WWE champion my own way. Then takes off the shirt to reveal his new shirt. You know, John Cena saying, you know what, the champ is here, but the beard is here. And man, the crowd went nuts for that opening, I got to say. I'm very, you know, befuddled over the fact that they used Wade Barrett like that. It kind of shows you just how far they're throwing Wade Barrett down the shitter. But other than that, I thought it was just a good promo. They really working this Vince McMahon liking big guys angle in WWE. You know, it was always like a backstage thing, but now they're bringing it out into the open, into an active storyline with Daniel Bryan and John Cena. So I'm really kind of interested where they take this next. But I gotta say this though, I thought it was a good opening. Next up, we had a return bout of Rob Van Dam and Alberto Del Rio with Ricardo Rodriguez finally resurfacing. You know, something we need to say to Justin Roberts: he mispronounced the suspension. He wasn't. You don't pronounce it injury. You pronounce it suspension. Now, one thing I was really hoping for, Ashley, is for this match not to suck like it did on Friday Night SmackDown. Because the crap they put on Friday Night SmackDown, I thought it was god-awful. But I gotta say, Ash, this match was just a bit better than what they did on Friday Night SmackDown.
Are we talking about Friday SmackDown from a few weeks back?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. One, you know, after the success that was that triple threat match with RVD and who else is in it?
Christian and Randy Orton.
Yeah. After the success of that, you're going to expect RVD to come in strong with this one. And Del Rio did. It was actually, there was one, I think, significant botch. Can't remember because I wasn't fully paying attention to.
Was it the was it the moonsault on the outside?
It was it was Del Rio's fault. I know that.
Yes, it was the moonsault.
Del Rio screwed up anyway, but eventually led to an interesting finish actually with the bucket that Ricardo had being put in the turnbuckle. You know, like how a chair is put in, and RVD managed to reverse it, and Del Rio decided to by choice clearly, to collide with the bucket, and RVD rolled up. Was it a roll up, or it must have been, wasn't it?
It was a form of roll up. He used his legs to roll him up, but it was still a pinning predicament.
Yeah, so RVD won, and then Del Rio beat the taco, shall we say, out of Ricardo Rodriguez. Smashed him over the head with a bucket, and then decided to place said head in between the ring post and the ring steps and drop kick the steps. So as soon as he's come back from his time away, he's gone again.
Now, I don't want to start guessing at what WWE Creative is doing as of late, but for some reason, to me, when I look at this, you know, of Del Rio turning on Ricardo Rodriguez, for some reason, it smells a setup. Like they might be trying to lure Christian into a false sense of security, you know, that Ricardo would come out during SummerSlam to kind of show support for Christian, but then turn on Christian in favor for Alberto Del Rio to retain the title. You know, maybe it's just me, but for me, that's what I kind of see about that, Ash. I don't know about you, but go ahead.
I think it's going to be mainly they're going to try and make Rosa Mendez relevant again. Well, they did tease that before, like the relationship or something between them,
but it never went through,
which turned to nothing. So I think you could do it again, because seriously, what happened to Primo and Epico? Did they end up with the Gulf of Mexico along with, you know, Sandow's Money in the Bank contract? Because I ain't seen it since.
Well, it's very interesting that Ashley brings that up.
Are we going to come to SmackDown now, and they're going to come with seaweed covered in them?
Well,
like Swamp Thing or something.
Well, Well, very interesting. Ashley brings that up, but first, Ashley, your score for the match?
3.
Now, that was a very interesting segue for Ashley to lead into what happened next. Cody Rhodes apparently is in the ring. Then we see a montage of what happened when Cody Rhodes threw the Money in the Bank briefcase into the Gulf of Mexico, and apparently Rhodes fished it out and was ready to give it back to Damien Sandow, and Sandow said, you know what, get out of the ring first, and then I'll come and get it. And Cody Rhodes obliged at first, and then as soon as Damien Sandow was making a beeline for that Money in the Bank briefcase, Rhodes comes back in the ring and starts beating the hell out of Damien Sandow, and then opens up the Money in the Bank briefcase, and all that seaweed and gunk was in there, and so was a paper that was supposed to represent the contract in the Money in the Bank briefcase. He puts it back in the briefcase and throws it at Damien Sandow on the outside. Which this would eventually lead up into the announcement that at SummerSlam it would be Cody Rhodes versus Damien Sandow. However, a lot of fans were hoping for the Money in the Bank briefcase to be on the line in this instance, Lance, but apparently WWE is just not going to go that route.
No, it looks like it's just going to be a regular match, which,
You have got 12 days left, haven't you?
Well,
Yeah.
we're just going based on the information we got tonight.
yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes it's best to use a bit of foresight. We could see it put on the line, couldn't we?
Possibly.
Yeah.
But anyway, Lance. Well, let's go on to this next match, Lance, which is probably just biggest pointless as anything. We have Mark Henry and Ryback. Now, yeah. Now this is basically WrestleMania rematch, except roles flip. This time it's Ryback being the heel and Mark Henry being the face. Now, a lot of fans are trying to kind of interpret what Ryback's gimmick is now, since they got rid of Feed Me More, and Ryback apparently now he's like a Rye bully of sorts. Now, this wasn't really a catch-as-catch-can wrestling match. It's just basically two big guys brawling. That's what they do, according to Mark Henry on his shirt. But Ryback takes the Fandango exit and gives him what somebody on Twitter said, the Curtis Axel win. And I gotta say, Lance, that was just a tad too predictable for my taste.
Yeah, instead of catch can, it was can I catch a bus?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought that was going to go over better.
Well, no, I thought you were going to say catch can versus catch and can't catch a UTI.
Oh God.
What the fuck?
Hello, PG WWE.
Oh.
Yeah.
But where do you see the Ryback gimmick going, Lance? Because that's something a lot of fans really just can't seem to have a firm grasp on right now.
If it keeps going the direction it's going now, right down the toilet.
Your score for this pointless match?
Just to be nice, a 2.
Now, John Cena comes out donning the yellow shirt, as currently at this time of this recording, I am donning the green shirt. So all you Cena haters out there can just imagine a big middle finger from me truly wearing a green John Cena t-shirt to all you Cena haters out there. But Cena comes out to kind of address some of the things that Daniel Bryan said. See, that's how much he looked like Damien Sandow. I was going to refer to him as Damien Sandow Jr., or the cousin of Damien Sandow. But you want to talk a few things about how Daniel Bryan is always focusing on his past, and how he's wrestling in gyms, and some of the way that Cena was kind of making the comments. Well, it was kind of Cena being a heel without really trying to be a heel. Wouldn't you say?
Cena being a heel?
Without trying to be a heel. Because
Oh,
he's
no,
kind of insulting
I
the
know.
independents in a sense.
Oh, yeah, I mean, to the match of this Excalibur mode, and I don't say it loosely, I mean, yeah, I agree. I mean, he's just pulling his weight out there, talking about, oh, well, this is gonna be the best match of SummerSlam, blah 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 blah, put me to sleep. But overall, I mean, he is the poster boy for the WWE, and we'll never know why he really picked Daniel Bryan. But in the midst of it all, I mean, you did hear most boos and most yays. I mean, I didn't find this segment pretty interesting at all. I mean,
One thing I
good
need to say though,
yeah.
to the wrestling fans, when you are queued up to do an anti-Cena chant, learn to do it right. Because they were, Cena was kind of calling for the fans to do a "You can't wrestle" chant, and I want to say about less than 25% of the fans obliged.
Hell, it sounded like 100 people were doing it. That was it.
100 people out
Majority
of
rules.
Yeah, but anyway, Randy Orton then comes out next to kind of talk to John Cena, telling Cena, you are always aware of the target on your back, except you're not aware for the target that's right in front of you. You say that the champ is here, then he raises the Money in the Bank briefcase and says, you know what? This guarantees that the champ is here. And then next thing you know, for some odd reason, the Shields music hits and the three come down, and then Daniel Bryan comes out to kind of even the odds. And I want to say probably from the school of general managing by Teddy Long, Brad Maddox comes out and says, "You know what? Do you guys want to fight? You guys want to fight? You're gonna fight in a 6-man tag." And I gotta imagine just someplace, somewhere, Teddy Long's got a huge smile on his face. That's all I'm saying.
Holla, holla, holla.
Well, I don't know about you, but with the degree of predictability for the main event, the way they were building it up, I wouldn't give this a too much of a high score, would you?
Hell no. I'd give this at least a 2.5 because, first of all, Brad Maddox, did you go behind the boiler room where Teddy Long has his tag team book sack? Because that's what you illustrated tonight. Basically, I'll give it a nice 2.5. I mean, basically what Maddox was trying to do was get over with the fans, and I know pretty much sure Maddox couldn't general manage out of a paper bag if Andy were here. Hi, Andy. But moreover, I mean, he read the book, he made the match, and he made it likable for the fans to enjoy before he got his ass whooped.
I thought the main event was AJ Styles versus Austin Aries.
Up next, the Wyatt family in tag team action against Tons of Funk. And basically, this was no better than what they did last week with Tons of Funk. I don't know if it was on SmackDown or it was Raw, but the Wyatt family was in a tag match against Tons of Funk, and it was just utter crap. And this was no better. This honestly, truly was no better. They really need to step up the tag team wrestling acumen of the Wyatt family, because really right now the only person I really want to see wrestle, but WWE is really not letting him do it yet. They're just letting him be the figurehead of the Wyatt family, is Bray Wyatt. But we might have that answered very, very soon, ladies and gentlemen, because Kane, as Bray Wyatt was cutting his normal promo, as I say that, after he gives the finisher to Brodus Clay, Kane's pyro hits. They all start to scatter, and then Kane comes on the Titantron and says, "You know what? When you destroy and maim people, it's to spread a message. I do it for fun. Come SummerSlam, there will be no one there that will be able to save you from the ring of fire." And I'm going to tell you this right now, ladies and gentlemen, Twitter exploded with Inferno match. I mean, I've seen it almost in every other tweet that was on my timeline. Just Inferno match this. I mean, doing an Inferno match in a PG era. This might be a topic for a future discussion video here on WGS-TV, ladies and gentlemen. So be sure you look for that if it does come out. But the fact that they're actually doing this really did pique my interest, James. Because the tag match at first was just utter crap, but the promo after that, involving Kane and Bray Wyatt, and the announcement that they will have a match at SummerSlam, that really did pique my interest.
It really is, because the fact is that we kind of knew we were getting set up for a Bray Wyatt and Kane match. But once you heard Ring of Fire, what's the one match you can think about that has a ring and fire around it? And that's the Inferno match. It's really intriguing that they bring this in the PG era. How does this work in the PG era?
I secretly think that people in back have been playing too much of WWE SmackDown versus Raw 2011. Because I played through that for quite a while, and every time there was a SummerSlam event, there was one or multiple Inferno matches. Every time. Even if people not related to Undertaker or Kane were wrestling, they were just Inferno matches.
Your score,
Sure.
James, for the tag match and the promo?
Match 1 out of 5. Promo 5 out of 5 for the for the surprise of announcing a Ring of Fire, aka Inferno match.
Now, WWE.
Even the cut to
Go
black
ahead.
was even the cut to black was amazing because it was like cut to black, okay, adverts, and then suddenly the pyro goes off. It's like, oh no, they swerved us, the bastards.
Well, WWE, to follow up on the story they did on Friday Night SmackDown with Layla turning on Kaitlyn, we have this matchup featuring Layla and Kaitlyn. Now, they did one of their little, commentary things with Layla, and she says that, you know what, it's time that that I get what I deserve, and that's all the attention. So basically, what it looks like to me is the fact that, they're trying to revert Layla back into the sort of the Lay Cool gimmick without Michelle McCool being there, being flawless and stuff like that, is the way she said it. Now, as anticipated, AJ Lee did come out when Kaitlyn was getting ready to hit the spear on Layla, and as Kaitlyn was distracted, Layla hits the chick kick on Kaitlyn and gets the victory.
They call it the bombshell kick.
The bombshell kick?
Yeah.
And then
Or was it the bombshell? I don't know.
So Layla gets the win and then starts skipping off with AJ. And Mick, I gotta ask you, do you think they can make this Lay Cool gimmick work without Michelle McCool being there for Layla?
Well, if they don't call it that, they could possibly make it work. But it really depends where they go with it, who they do it with. If she's going after more than one person, then it might not go over well, just because she's not really sticking it. But if she sticks with doing it to one person and kind of terrorizing her, it might go over a little better.
Well, what's your score, Mick?
3.5, just because. Well, not even that. It'd be a 3 just because of the predictability.
Up next, we had Christian and Heath Slater. Now, what really irked me about this is the fact that WWE did not give an entrance to their number one contender for the World Heavyweight title. That tells you just how much WWE actually cares about that title in their company. They don't. Usually when you're the number one contender to a major title, whether it be WWE title or World Heavyweight title, showing that you're getting a push, then yeah, they would kind of give you an entrance, wouldn't they? But WWE decided, no entrance for Christian and no entrance for Heath Slater. But then again, it's Heath Slater. Go figure. Christian ends up easily getting the win over the head of 3MB. So really can't see anything else about it but about a 2 out of 5. Because honestly, it's not Christian's fault, somewhat Slater's fault, but the fact of the matter is that WWE not giving an entrance to your number one contender for the World Heavyweight title kind of shows you where their priorities are. They will give an entrance to Daniel Bryan, for sure. He's the number one contender for the WWE title. World Heavyweight title don't mean shit to them anymore. And to me, I think that's wrong. Honestly, to me, I think that's wrong. But then again, that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. Up next, we had CM Punk and Curtis Axel. Now, this one indeed was a very, very interesting match. But it was really highlighted, actually, I would think, by the post-match activity, because for some odd reason, when CM Punk grabbed Paul Heyman, the referee decided, okay, he wins to grab the Walrus match. I mean, what was the official decision? There was no official decision as to who won the match.
They don't normally, though. They don't. When normally there is a disqualification, sometimes when something big and eventful happens, they don't have time to announce it.
Well, yes.
But judging from the way it looked, I would say it was Axel winning by DQ.
I don't understand why. I don't understand why CM Punk would have been disqualified when Paul Heyman never laid a hand on CM Punk. It was Punk grabbing Paul Heyman, and then ding ding.
Hey,
But
hold on. WWE.com said this is a no contest, so nobody won.
okay, but
Okay.
now as
So it's a no contest just because he grabs Heyman. That's stupid.
the post-match activity was really highlighted by the appearance of Brock Lesnar. Lesnar coming out and they ended up Lesnar and CM Punk ended up back on the outside doing their usual fight thing again, and just when you think CM Punk had the upper hand, he hits a flying clothesline off the announce table onto Lesnar, but he lets Lesnar gets up, and then Lesnar execute, I would have to say, about the ugliest belly-to-belly suplex throw I have ever seen in the history of me watching wrestling over the past 26 years. It was like extremely ugly. Punk didn't even land on his back. He landed on his hip on the outside. That's a bad thing, guys. That is a bad thing to do. You're supposed to land. From what I understand, you're really supposed to land on the square of your back, not your hip. But they get back into the ring. CM Punk grabs a chair, starts waylaying on Lesnar, and then he sees Paul Heyman in the corner and just lets his rage get the better of him. Lesnar capitalizes by grabbing the chair away from CM Punk, picks him up and gives him the F5, and then Paul Heyman says to hurt him, and Lesnar just starts waylaying very sloppily with a steel chair on CM Punk. But Ash, after that, all that stuff was over. Backstage, they actually let Lesnar cut a promo, and then he said something very interesting to Paul Heyman, didn't he?
Oh, it was epic. He said, yeah. So you're the best of the best of the best of the best in the world right now? You're the best that they can come up with? I mean, that's just embarrassing. I'm the beast. I'm taking you down. Paul, say something stupid.
Somebody should fire that.
My word. And then Paul did. Of course, the irony is Paul did say something stupid because he said, I'm not afraid of CM Punk. And next week, I'm going to take him on one-on-one. Which means interference, ladies and gentlemen.
Your score for all that?
That woman needs to be fired.
They need to not let Lesnar cut a promo.
No, that's what made the promo better. Because that was I think actually him saying that actually made that promo even better. Because quite often Heyman does say stupid stuff. He was just speaking the truth. So for that reason, I'm going to give it everything match and segment. It gets a 4.5 because it was a very, very good match, and the beatdown was extremely good as well. And then it got the extra 0.5 mainly for the say something stupid line.
This week on Monday Night Raw featured the return of Kofi Kingston into the WWE, featuring new gear. Now he's in full-on tights, with his ring gear. He's no longer in the shorts that he was before. I gotta say it was a good appearance. For the first time seeing Kingston in quite a few months, he looked to be in really good shape. He taking on Fandango of all people, and I noticed one thing about Fandango's entrance, Lance. The Fandango set was AWOL. It was gone.
Yes, it was. And did I see that they didn't even have the Fandango outline
Yeah, that little pyro thing
thing
that he does.
above the ring?
Would you
Yeah,
kind of
that one's
say
there
the
either.
now, Lance? Would you kind of say that the Fandango gimmick is kind of losing its luster already?
Oh hell yes! I mean, it honestly, it's been old since WrestleMania.
Now, there were quite a few botches in this match, but it was still overall a good match, though, wouldn't you say, Lance?
Yeah, thanks mostly to Kofi.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I think Fandango almost messed up Trouble in Paradise too. I mean, it looked like he had his arm already up, ready in anticipation for the kick coming. But then again, I wouldn't really blame Fandango after what we saw earlier in the year with Miz and Kofi Kingston, when Kofi Kingston just kicked Miz right above the eyebrow. I wouldn't blame Fandango
Yeah.
one bit, Lance. I mean,
Well,
I wouldn't
true,
I
but
wouldn't want that knot on my head.
yeah, but I think he was Kofi might have done to something it kind of like a receipt for basically trying to stick his ass in his face. Whatever the hell that kick was.
Oh, I think we're calling like a spin wheel ass or something like that.
Spinning wheel ass.
Spinning wheel ass.
Spinning anus wheel.
Fandango, leave the shoving your ass into the Funkadactyl, or whichever one of the Funkadactyls does that. It's good when she does it. You, not so much.
Naomi,
I think it's the one whose boyfriend did the trap.
Yeah.
It seriously, it botched so bad. You might as well just call it meat spin.
meat spin. Lance, your score for the match?
3 out of 5.
No,
That was a bit high
Don't
pitched
go on
from
that
Liz.
website, everyone.
no, they transitioned backstage. Triple H
Don't.
God. Anyway, Triple H is on the phone backstage, and next thing you know, Stephanie McMahon comes into frame. She's crying. She's upset. Triple H asks her, what's wrong? And apparently Vince McMahon laid into her about the whole Daniel Bryan debacle at the opening of the show, and it just got her very upset. And Triple H just said it, that he had enough and enough. He's saying Vince McMahon has lost it, and this stuff stops here and now, and that kind of leads me to believe that they're probably going to be doing something with Triple H and Vince McMahon at SummerSlam. It's possible. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I don't read dirt sheets or anything like that, but there's a very high probability of something happening involving Triple H and Vince McMahon, since SummerSlam is one of the major 4 pay-per-views for the WWE. Just saying. But up next we had the Real Americans and the Usos. I don't know what I can really say about this, but all I can say is, thank God that Antonio Cesaro didn't break the arm of one of the Usos when they kind of botched that double stomp that he did, kind of reminding me of Davey Richardson and Paul London from Ring of Honor. That spot in that particular spot in the match kind of looked bad.
Oh yeah, Billy. That one was way worse. I could think of another match back then where that happened, but we don't got time for that. But yeah, I mean, that just looked dangerously set right there. But overall, match is okay. I kind of thought when I forgot which Uso kicked Swagger. I guess somebody was on the top rope. He jumped down.
No, when is he kicks Cesaro.
Or Cesaro. Well, whoever. They all got yellow tights anyway. Yellow M&Ms, everyone. But no, so Jey Uso kicked Cesaro. Looked kind of bad, the landing a little bit. And then Swagger got involved. I guess he elbowed him, in which enabled Cesaro to hit the neutralizer for the 1-2-3. So yeah, I mean, the Usos are still the number 1 favorite for the belts. If James could put his laundry away, too much noise. But yeah, I'll give the match a stellar 2.5, but I just kind of think that one spot you mentioned it could have went very, very dangerously bad.
That super kick spot you're alluding to, I think maybe possibly the timing was just off. If Cesaro would have waited, I think for the leap off the ropes, and I would have to call this on Cesaro because I don't think Jey Uso was anticipating Cesaro to leap off the ropes that quickly. I think he was waiting for a particular moment for him to leap off the ropes, but I think Cesaro to me kind of jumped the gun because it was to me, when your timing is messed up, there's nothing you can do, and that's exactly what happened in that spot. The timing was just went all to crap. But up next we had Biggie Langston and Dolph Ziggler. Apparently, they're doing a series of these matches, and Lord knows they're probably gonna. Well, from the way it looked at first, it looks like they're gonna really do a mixed tag match. What I'm alluding to is the fact that during this matchup with Biggie Langston and Dolph Ziggler, that Kaitlyn came out. AJ was at ringside, and apparently Kaitlyn wanted to extract some revenge on AJ. And when he started doing the cat fight, AJ leaped into Kaitlyn and
Cat fight! Cat fight!
and in some and James, in some instances, it looked like AJ was humping Kaitlyn.
Yeah, in a way, yeah. Yeah, it was more like that. But yeah, as you alluding to, this looks like it's gonna be a mixed tag team match going into SummerSlam between Biggie and AJ and Dolph Ziggler and Kaitlyn.
Yeah, what we're alluding to is the fact that the fight spilled into the ring, and Dolph Ziggler was trying to separate the two, and Biggie Langston just does his best impersonation of Dave Bautista and clotheslines the hell out of Dolph Ziggler, and then gives him the big ending. And just the look on Kaitlyn's face that she had, that saying that, like, I screwed up. All of that is leading to what we would figure to be that mixed tag match, though, James, huh?
Exactly. I mean, here's the fact. The fact of the matter is that you have the storyline that AJ is still pissed off that Ziggler broke up with her. Why not have her friend Biggie Langston come out to attack Dolph Ziggler, and then you still have Kaitlyn still wanting that revenge on her for not just only taking the title, but taking most of everything from her now. And the fact of the matter is, you forgot to mention that Kaitlyn has a new shirt. Just kidding. But
I didn't think it was. I didn't think mentioning new merch would be too relevant to what they're doing in the storyline.
Yeah, I know. Just kidding. I was just kidding. But anyway, but yeah, just going to this is that it has to be a mixed tag team match.
Your score?
The match itself, I'll bump it to a 2.5 for the cat fight.
I'm gonna bump it up to a 3 just for AJ humping Kaitlyn. Main event time, Monday Night Raw this week featured the 6-man tag match we alluded to earlier in the review. John Cena, Daniel Bryan, and Randy Orton taking on the Shield. This was indeed a very good 6-man tag, as a lot of people were hoping for on Twitter. Finally saying, finally a good 6-man tag, and that's what we got. But it was a weird finish, though. I mean, everything else in the match looked good, but the fact, Daniel Bryan, I don't remember who he was covering. It might have been Seth Rollins that he was covering. Seth Rollins tried to roll him up. Daniel Bryan then reverses it into the Yes Lock, which probably be renamed the Beard Lock, probably in the not too distant future, if they really want to go with this beard gimmick for Daniel Bryan. Who knows? It could possibly happen. You've seen us name the meat hook clothesline finisher on here, even though we're not going to officially take credit for it, but it's possibly something they could do. But as Daniel Bryan's got the Yes Lock on Seth Rollins, then we had Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns, who are officially a part of the match, come in and break it up, and the referee calls for a disqualification, which kind of baffles my mind, Mick, as to why the referee would do that. But I would think, though, Mick, what was really the highlight of it was the post-match activity. They dispatched the Shield. Randy Orton RKO's Daniel Bryan, and then he RKO's John Cena, and then the entire, I would say the roof nearly exploded in anticipation for what was going to happen with Randy Orton, Mick, because we nearly had a cash-in of the Money in the Bank briefcase, right?
Yep. And then the Shield. Again.
Yep, they kind of took the thunder out of it, and then next thing you know, triple powerbomb to Daniel Bryan, and the Shield or remain in the ring, and that's how they kind of ended Monday Night Raw, Mick. But how would you score that main event?
I'll give it a 4 out of 5, although I didn't exactly like the ending of the match itself. The whole segment at the end with the ending of the 4-man staring contest wasn't horrible.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to find out everyone's picks for best and worst match or segment of Monday Night Raw. Time to find out the champions and the jobbers of the night. And for me this week, guys, best match of the night, I really got to give it, honestly, I would say, you know, looking down, there weren't too many good matches. I would say, you know, my runner-up would probably have to be Big E Langston and Dolph Ziggler, but I got to go with the main event this time around for best match of the night. You know, just like possibly out of a, you know, match for attrition in a sense, because you know, looking down the line, RVD Alberto Del Rio was okay at best. Mark Henry and Ryback sucked. And I could go on, but you guys already heard what I've had to say. Worst match of the night for me, I definitely have to give it to Mark Henry and Ryback. That was a clusterfuck of a shit match between Mark Henry and Ryback. Not to mention the fact that nobody cared for the Mark Henry Ryback match, because nobody just picked, you know, there was no reaction for Ryback and no reaction from Mark Henry. So the fans were like, you know, why should we care? And honestly, I have to agree with what the fans did, because it was just an utter clusterfuck, and that's what it was. So those are my picks, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to start with the Studling Man, Ashley, and find out his picks for best and worst match or segment of Monday Night Raw. Ashley, your champions and jobbers of the night.
See, now I'm confused. You just asked 4 questions.
Well, it's basically, you know, your champions of the night are your best match or segment. Jobbers are the worst match or segment of Monday Night Raw.
Well, champion for me has to be, well, champion / segment / match has to be the whole Punk Axel affair, and then the Lesnar show up and then say something stupid. That whole spell of about 20 minutes was a good match, a very good post-match, and a pretty damn good promo backstage. I'll give it that. Worst match, I'll agree with you. It probably has to go to Ryback versus Mark Henry. But worst segment was the clearly shoehorned in segment featuring those people from summer camp. I mean, you know, I thought Total Divas was attention grabbing, but even that segment with Natty slapping the hell out of one of the Bella's facial cheeks, I should say, not her ass cheek. Just for clarification. Amazingly, even Marie actually did a promo that wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with you on that one. But let's go to Lance next. Lance, your picks for best and worst match or segment of Monday Night Raw.
I gotta go with Ash on this one for the champion. That whole CM Punk, the Heyman guys, that whole segment right there for the champion. For the jobber of the night, Henry versus Lesnar.
Ryback.
Ryback. Yeah.
We're seeing this, so far to be all in agreement about the worst match of the night. Let's go to Will next. Will, time for us to find out your picks for best and worst match or segment of Monday Night Raw. Will, your champions and jobbers of the night.
All right. I'm gonna go with the worst. The worst. I agree with you. The Mark Henry Ryback match. Who really gave a shit? Not us, not the crowd, not the concessionist, not even the person who made Lambeau Field. Best match. Yeah, piss break, exactly. Best match. I'm gonna say the main event. I mean, there was a lot of back and forth. Now segments, I would have to say the worst one would it have to be Brad Maddox reading Teddy Long's How to Make a Tag Team Match. He looked he looked piss poor, looking scary when he made the match. And the best one was just basically how Daniel Bryan tore John Cena a new asshole. So we'll just leave it at that.
Hashtag Cena's elbow is fucked up. James, over to you and find out your picks for best and worst match or segment of Monday Night Raw. James, your picks for champion and jobbers of the night.
Co-champions for the night. The co-champions is gonna be the opening segment. I feel like that was a good segment. It kind of got spoiled. You know why? Because I look on Twitter and all this stuff, and I also get the WWE Shop newsletter. They kind of spoiled that Daniel Bryan has a new shirt that says "The beard is here." But and I told everybody that was on this call about that, and then it's like, and then you saw that he brought up the new shirt, and yeah, even though it's spoiled, it's like it was a good one. And also my call was the slap by Natalya. I was like, ooh, that hurt. Not the segment, but the slap, just the slap.
And worst match or segment?
Worst match has to be, I agree with everybody, Mark Henry and Ryback. Nobody cared about it. Nobody cared about it the same way they cared about Layla entering the ring. No reaction at all.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and finally we go to the master disaster, the leader of Team Gooch himself, Mick 37, and as we find out his picks for best and worst match or segment from Monday Night Raw. Mick, your picks, please, for jobber and champion of the night.
All right, I'm going to start with my champions, and I'm going to have to say, I've been kind of waiting for it for a while, so I'm going to have to say Kofi coming back was the champion. Just because he didn't really lose a step himself. Most of the botches were by Fandango, however you say it, Dingbat. But, jobber, I think I agree with everyone else.
With Mark Henry and Ryback?
Going with Mark Henry and Ryback. There was no point in even having an entrance if you were just going to slide out of the ring.
I want to know what the word of the day is.
Well, we're going to be getting to that very soon, actually. As we remind everyone out there, the viewers and subscribers, we want to know what you thought of Monday Night Raw this week. Be sure you put your comments in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and favorite this video. Lance, what can fans expect to see when they come to visit your channel over on youtube.com/LanceMossTV?
Album reviews, wrestling reviews, NASCAR reviews, and whatever else pops in my head.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd also like to remind everyone that tonight's Monday Night Raw review has been brought to you by Mick 37's Word of the Day. Mick, what is your word of the day today?
Building back.
And that has been Mick 37's Word of the Day. And ladies and gentlemen, we also have two Instagib game show gurus in our midst. First off, from the bowels of the Houdat Temple, we have James from the Big Easy. And from the hood over on Instagib, we have the Bay Area MVP known as Will. Guys, what you got coming up?
This week, the creator of all our games, Big General 6, has been live lately on Instagib, doing his usual codings and debug codings of more updates from all his favorite game shows that we like. So we won't be live this week because John is taking all our airtime. So me and James, we're just taking it easy.
So yeah, if you want to visit the site, you go to instagive.tv/Studio06. That's Studio06.
His name is Big John06 from Blog TV. He's a creator of all game shows galore. He's the master.
Fans, also don't forget to please like the Facebook page, which is facebook.com/WGS-TV. And also don't forget to please subscribe to youtube.com/WrestleGamer and youtube.com/ZFXTV Network. So for the Studley Man Ashley, the leader of Team Gooch, Master of Disaster himself, Mick37, the incomparable Lance Moss, and our two Instagib game show gurus, James and Big Easy, and the Bay Area MVP known as Will, I'm the Wrestle Gamer, Double B Billy Boudreaux, saying thank you very much.
Stoke answers. Stoke answers. Stoke answers. Stoke answers. Spiritual speaking. Stoke answers. Stoke answers. I'm Haley. Ring Rose. Stoke answers.
My name's Andrew Weatherall.
Spiritual speaking. Stoke answers.